I was thinking about the Moskvich cars back in the early 1970s. My father was running a small garage and I was working for him, just doing general repairs and bits and pieces of welding and what have you. And a chap came in one day who wanted a boat trailer making. We used to make these trailers. We used to buy an old lorry, cut the cab and body off, take the engine out and what have you, transfer the front axle to the back to make it lower, and then weld a frame on for the boat to sit on. It would hold boats 5-6 tons in weight. Anyway, we did this, and in talking afterwards, it turned out this chap was helicopter over there, was quite a senior bank manager. So my father saw a golden opportunity, so he asked him if it was possible to have an overdraft arranged, a business overdraft. And the chap agreed. And my father was granted an overdraft for £1,000, which in 1972 was a hell of a lot of money. It's really a hell of a lot of money. There's a golf ball lying on the floor there. Anyway, so now flush with £1,000 of overdraft and nothing to spend it on, he was looking through the Sunday newspapers and he saw an advert in the back for Moskvich agents, Russian cars, where they were going to start importing to the UK. So here was his opportunity to put the money to good use, so he contacted them and became an official Moskvich agent. Now, he was given an allocation of 12 cars a year, 1 car a month. But he sold the first car amazingly quickly, within the first week or so. So then he had to start tapping into his allocation of 12, and within 2 months he'd used up his entire allocation. So the firm upped his allocation to 3 a month. And within the next 2 months, he used up the entire 12-month allocation of those. In the meantime, I was running to and fro with a lorry, bringing these things down as fast as I could bring them, carrying any sort of load, which was generally broccoli or potatoes or cabbage, to the London markets, and then I would go back to Byfleet to pick up these Moskvich cars. The firm that was selling them was an American company called Satra Motors, and that stood for Soviet American Trade Association, and they were trading grain for Russian cars. This was at the height of the Cold War between America and Russia, which is quite stunning really. Anyway, he sold hundreds of cars in the first year, and he was doing extremely well in the second year. And then the AA, Automobile Association, for those that don't know, did a safety report on Moskvich cars, and it was awful, and the trade stopped almost dead, nearly overnight. But in the meantime, the company had started importing another car, which was the Lada. The Lada was based on the body of a Fiat 124, but they never had the Fiat engine, just the body, and they put their own engine in it, which was nowhere near as good. He sold many of them, and also he became an agent for Wartburg, which was GDR, East Germany. They had a 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine, Can you hear the birds singing? Yeah, they had a 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine, similar to the one in the Saab. I think it was DKW or Auto Union engine, something like that. It was a lovely, sweet little motor. Terrible on emissions, on smoke and everything else, because you had to mix oil in with the petrol. But they were a well-made car. And the importer of Wartburg was also the importer of Mazda cars at that time. So he became a Mazda agent as well. As the sales on these Russian bloc car, Eastern bloc cars started dying off, Satra Motors started importing motorbikes as well, Russian motorbikes, and they were known as the Cossack range. The baby one was a little 175 single-cylinder 2-stroke. It was quite a nice little commuter bike for what it was, to be fair. The next one up was the Jupiter, which was a 350 2-stroke twin, and a bit of an antique, really. It really was. It was something Second World War technology. Some of them had sidecars fitted, in fact. Then they'd done a Planeta, which was a 350 single 2-stroke. That was quite lively and quite a nice looking bike, almost modern by its terms. Nothing, nowhere near as good as the Japanese stuff. And then they did the big ones. Well, these were Ural. They only came as motorbike and sidecars, and the sidecar was on the wrong side as well for the UK roads. And the other one was a Dnieper. That was the slightly bigger one. These were basically World War II BMW motorbike and sidecars that you see, I don't know, John Wayne and co winning the war with, you know, with German soldiers running around in these motorbike sidecars. Anyway, sold those for 2 or 3 years, and by the end of '77, the whole lot had come basically to a halt. Oh, apart from the push bikes, I forgot the push bikes. In 1976, he started selling Russian push bikes from the same American importer. They were monsters compared to the European bikes. Ladies' bikes were quite well finished, neat and petite. I mean, these were huge, chunky things with great big tyres. They almost used the same tyre as a moped. Now, the back brake on these things was a back pedaler, but the front brake, just to show you what Russian technology was at the height of the Cold War, the front brake was a pad that came down on the tyre. When you squeeze the brake lever, it pushed this rubber pad down. So if they were, is that a helicopter again? If they were going down a long hill with the brakes on for any length of time, the front brake block and tyre would start to melt, and they smelled awful. They wouldn't last very long, and you couldn't buy any replacements. So let's have a look around where we're going. Right, this is where I'm walking. Couldn't buy any replacements, so we used to get hardwood, I don't know, oak, mahogany, whatever, and with a grinderette, and shape out a little brake block for the front. If they were put in wrong, the wrong way around, when you put the brake on, they would ping off in front of the push bike. But these, as opposed to the rubber ones, were slightly more durable, except that going down a long hill with the front brake on for any length of time, they would start to smoulder a bit. That was pretty well the end of all that Russian stuff coming in. And then he went over to Triumph. He became a Triumph agent. That was the Triumph motorbikes, and that was at the Meriden factory near Birmingham.